Yes, so we have been informed that this meeting is being recorded, which means that we are now ready to begin. I see attendees slowly joining the meeting, so welcome everybody. First of all, warm welcome to our wonderful presenters here. We have Nuria de Pablo from Spain in representation of the Ideal Future Project. We also have Sheima, and I kindly asked her before to teach me how to pronounce her last name, but I will leave it to her when the time of her presentation comes, from Education Reform Initiative in Turkey. And then we also have our colleagues from Finland, from the Institute of Educational Leadership, which I believe is attached to the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. And we have Hanna-Kaisa Perkainen and Tea Sapala, which I'm sure I also butchered. But once again, welcome everybody, our attendees as well. This is the second day of the Educational Leadership Week, the European Educational Leadership Week, which is an initiative that we are doing here as part of a bigger event this year, the European Education Month 2025, which is being organized by ELNE, the Educational Leadership Network Europe, which is network. We like to call it a community already, since we receive more and more interest to join us every day, which is focused in strengthening and supporting collaborative leadership in education. So this year we are having, just like we did last year, very inspiring showcases that we received through our call for applications, which we launch every single year. And this year it was focused on school resilience. We are now going to have amazing presentations and inspiring presentations of how to build school resilience. And in the contrary, as of yesterday's inspiring showcases that were very based at the school level themselves, we have now large-scale initiatives. So from large-scale projects, how are these presenters that we have here building school resilience, bridging the gap between policy and practice, and fostering collaborative leadership and knowledge sharing in education. So without further ado, I would like to quickly give the word to our wonderful presenters that are the main stars of this event. And we will begin with Nuria de Pablo, who, as I mentioned before, is here in representation of a Teacher Academies project called Ideal Future, which I believe the full title is Integrated Digital Educational Leadership for the Future Teaching Academy. So Nuria, please, the floor is yours.
Very much, and thank you for inviting me and my project to this event. I'm going to share my screen first. So please let me know if you can see the presentation in the presentation mode. Okay, perfect, thanks. So my name is Nuria de Pablo, and I'm representing so many people today. First of all, I'm representing the project Ideal Future, but also I'm representing one of the organizations within the partnership, which is Siglo XXII Foundation, a foundation in Spain. But yes, we are here for to talk about the project. So Ideal Future is a teacher academy project, which is program of the Erasmus Plus program. This project aims to is a 3 years project, so it aims to empower educators in all educational levels and sectors to lead innovative practice and drive transformative change in digital education. The project is formed by 6 transnational partners in 5 different countries. So we have 5 implementation countries, and the work is distributed in 9 work packages. So the idea is to create this digital leadership both at individual level, school community level, but also interorganizational level. The context and the needs of these projects, I think, as most of the transformative or innovative challenges, we came up with this idea with the feeling in 2020 that many many students were affected by a pandemic, and many schools were affected by the pandemic, and the digital learning needed to support the educational continuity. But in all the levels, not only for kids, not only for teachers, but also for families, also for universities, also for the whole communities. So with this huge challenge that we were facing, we concreted it in 3 different needs and created this project. So first of all, the need for digital learning technologies to support this education continuity, then the need for digital learning technologies at all educational levels, but of course, finally, the need for policymakers to be aware of these new challenges and to be together with the communities to change these needs. So with this context, we came together 6 different partners, very professional partners and very people actually. So our coordinator is the Immaculate College in Ireland, which is an autonomous university level Catholic college of education and liberal arts, and is one of the main providers of initial teacher education in Ireland. This is our coordinator, and then we have like an educational training board with 2 schools, which is Limerick and Clare Educational and Training Board, also in Ireland. Then we have the University of Latvia, which is the country's leading higher education institute. And then we have one of the biggest universities in Spain, in Madrid, with one of the main important teacher training faculties in the country. Then the organization I'm representing, of course, my favorite, which is Siglo 22, a non-profit organization with 2 main lines of actions, innovation in education and gender equality. And finally, we have the RENT 2 University, which is the largest center for research and higher education in Western France. So this is the team. This is the team and our partners, and we are a very, very good team. Okay, so the project one is aimed to result in these 3 main outcomes. So we are working very hard. We are, I think, at the midterm of the project now, and we are developing these 3 results. So first of all, we are creating, or we are trying to create a whole pedagogical model. So we are trying to explore the challenges facing education in the digital age, and with that, develop a pedagogical for the delivery of a professional development framework at, as I said, both individual, school, and interorganizational levels. With this pedagogical model, we are developing what the Ideal Future Hub, which is an open educational content and learning activities to support participants to develop these skills in digital educational leadership. So this hub is hosting everything, the learning content, the activities, and also some challenges scenarios that I will explain you later. And the third main result, which is in my perspective, the most important one, is the piloting and sustainability of the project. So our idea is that everything that we are working on and everything that we are developing, it is piloted with the target group, with the stakeholders. So both the pedagogical model and the learning content and the digital hub are being piloting periodically with pre-service, in-service teachers, educational leaders, and other stakeholders. Okay. So our methodology is forming these 6 steps. So it is called design-based research. And we have, first of all, the problem identification. So we identify the problems in leading digital learning, and we do it by asking the main characters to say of these problems. Then we analyze those problems, exploring the contextual issues and elements associated with leading digital education. Then we try to design the solutions, developing these professional development activities to address these problems. The most important part, we experiment in an interactive way, piloting and testing these solutions with the stakeholders so that we can analyze the impact. With those experiments, we reflect and develop theory and design principles for sustaining, of course, the ideal future model. And then the last step will be the participants to apply their work in practice and conduct observations. So with this methodology, we are covering those three levels: individual, school, and interorganizational. And we are coming up together everything in a transformational dialogue. So this is the idea, and this is what we want to achieve, and I think is getting very, very nice results. So for you to understand where we are now, the work today from September till March, we've been working in this pedagogical model, and we are now putting all together in this hub. So by now, we conducted a survey with 540 educators and educational leaders across the 5 implementation countries. We also interview 164 educators and educational leaders. The educators were from all the educational levels, and we also interview some pre-service teachers, so still students in the faculties, but they will be teachers, of course, soon, let's hope. Then we also conducted a systematic review of 1900 pieces of literature in the area of professional learning. We created a report on the challenges facing educators in digital era. This report is based, of course, in the survey and in the interviews. Then we also created another report on professional learning models based on the systematic review we did of the pieces of literature. And then we created our professional learning model to support digital transformation. This model, it has 25 challenge-based scenarios, and we, of course, translate all this in the language of the partnership, because then the impact is, of course, bigger. And now we recently started the Ideal Future Hub with our courses, our learning pathways, and the activities that are based, of course, in the professional learning model we created. So how is this model created? We develop a competency model, a competency framework. So I think that you may be aware of this digital competency framework, the European digital, it is called DigComp Edu or something similar. So we based our competency model in that model, but we added something that we think is essential for school resilience, which is the soft skills, soft human skills, the ethics. And we added another one because we are talking about digital leadership in these times, and we cannot forget about, of course, artificial intelligence. But the most important ones, we thought that this DigComp Edu was missing some important stuff like problem solving or assertiveness or resilience, emotional intelligence, optimism. So we also include in this competency model this soft skills path and also the ethics one. If we are talking about digital leadership, we need to talk about ethics and data privacy and digital rights and all these important things. So from 1 to 5, so professional engagement, digital resources, assessment, teaching and learning, and empowering learners are coming from the digital. And then the soft skills, the ethics, and the AI, we integrate them in this competency model. So we created this ideal future competency model for our pedagogical model. With this competency framework, we developed a unified approach divided in 3 different levels. So when you go to our training hub, you will find everything distributed in these 3 levels. So we have awareness, which is awareness of the pedagogical and professional potential of digital learning technologies. Then we have deepening, which engage in critical discourse with stakeholders. And then we have leadership, when you are just super best and you can develop critical thought leaders in digital learning leadership. They will question the adequacy of contemporary digital and pedagogical practice and challenges systems, technology, and process regarding the feasibility to support contemporary education needs. So all of our training is distributed in these 3 levels, and you will find some learning pathways to be able to achieve these levels. And why we create pathways? So we are trying to find the way of certified all the people that participate in our projects with microcredits in our universities. So we are using 25 hours courses, and we are giving ECTS credits. Well, our universities are. So we are developing some learning pathways so that you can complete the hours that you need to certify in these and these learning paths. And how are we doing with all this? So we were able to test in RENS in one of our workshops. So the idea is to pilot everything in all the universities that are part of the partnership. We did it in November in RENS, and we have in April the second piloting session here in Madrid, in the Autonomous University of Madrid. So each partner, we bring pre-service, in-serving, and educational leaders, and they all work in a whole week together. So they have to listen to each other and to be able to find solutions for some of the challenges we are facing. And of course, they can pilot, which is the main aim is to pilot our activities and our model and our hub. It was really great. They had so much fun. What is our plan? And I am there. I'm not sure if I'm okay with time, right? Yes, I think so. So the future of the project is based in the pilots, the impact that we get on these pilots, and of course the sustainability that we are trying to complete. So the pilot phase is will take place in all partner universities. So we had it in Rennes, we have it now in Madrid, then we will have it in Latvia, and then we will have it in Ireland. So we will be all around Europe. And this is essential as it involves all the stakeholders. So we bring pre-service students, university students, we bring in-service teachers, and we bring also educational leadership. So for example, educational inspectors or policymakers or things like that. And of course, they collaborate between and together, and they are able to create this dialogue and to think if it is working for me as an in-service, what it is not working for you as a policy or as a student, of course, which is more complicated. And these pilots are distributed in pre-activities, during activities, and post-activities. So we can measure the impact in 3 different stages. And for the sustainability, the idea is that the collaborative space that we are creating around the hub is self-directed space. It is created for the professional development and digital skills of those who are participating, and it is open and accessible to anyone. So it is going to be self-directed, it is going to be open, and the idea is that, of course, anyone can use it. So the plan is to expand these initiatives and continue supporting educators in a long term. And I think it represents, I think because I work on it, but I think it really represents a significant step toward digital transformation and also, of course, empowering of educators and digital leaders. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
all for
Nuria.
me.
I must say this is the second time in ELNE we hear about Ideal Future. We heard about it in the Educational Leadership Week last year already from your
Yes,
colleague Emma O'Brien in Ireland,
Emma.
or
Yeah.
yes, from the Mary Immaculate College. And it's great to hear how it has advanced and also to hear also what the next steps will be. And I'm particularly fond of those three levels, you know, awareness, deepening, and then leadership. And so it's this leadership that will, or that you are actually building in these professionals that will help them then lead the digital transformation themselves
That's the idea, yeah.
turn these schools into future ready institutions and resilient institutions. And we have some questions in the chat that I'll just read for you, Nuria, from Mika Risku. Actually, Mika Risku is the head of our research committee. So he's one of those scientific quality evaluators that decided that Ideal Future must be in this webinar. It needs to be shared with a wider audience. And he's asking, did you design the model and apply it with the schools, or did you collect the schools' models and synthesize that to be tested? And second question is, what challenges did the school tell you about?
Okay, so we haven't tested them in schools yet. That is, I think, like later on. So we are now in the process of piloting with the people that later on will test it in their organizations, in their schools. So our task, let's say now, is to test how the model is impacting in pre-service, in-service, and education leaders. But we did visit, so as part of the pilot sessions in different universities and different cities, we visit schools that are implementing some of these models or different models, so that we can also see how our model can be part of these other models. So we are not piloting with them directly, but we are definitely observing how they are working also. So the idea also in Madrid is to visit some schools here that are working with different similar models. And the challenges that the schools told us about, well, they were very different challenges, but I think the most important one was the lack of training. So they feel that the digital era or the digital leadership is like going so fast, and they are very behind. So they have to use it, but they don't know how. They have to deal with it, but they don't know how. They have to leader that, but they don't know how. Nor the teachers, nor the educational leaders, no one. So they feel actually that the students are more digital leaders than themselves. So the training was one of the main challenges, and also like the distance between the ones who make the decisions and the one who have to deal with the decisions. So to bring them together and to bridge that gap was also one of the challenges. And also the idea of put all the stakeholders in the same room and discuss about these models together in a horizontal way is one of the activities that we try to do to bridge that gap. But yes, I think mainly is this.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nuria. And we are looking forward to hear what Ideal Future has done already in the next year. I'm sure we will be hearing from you back in the ELNE week or ELNE month,
Of
or
course, we will be
whatever
happy.
it will be next year.
Thank you.
And we move on now to our good practice from Turkey, from Education Reform Initiative. Sheima is presenting us how in Turkey this platform or this initiative that they have created is challenging the top-down approach for education in Turkey, with a practice very similar to what we are trying to do here in ELNE as well, which is exchanging ideas, breaking the silos, and having this peer review approach with different stakeholders and their different standpoints and expertise. So the floor is yours, Sheima. We are looking forward to hear about this practice.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. Can you see my screen? I hope you
we
can.
see it perfectly.
Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Şeyma Dağıstan Terzi. I'm a project specialist at the Education Reform Initiative. Before I go into talking about the good practices in education, which is what I'm going to be presenting today, I want to first introduce the organization that I work in, which is Education Reform Initiative. We work to ensure actors who shape and influence K-12 education policies in Turkey have access to current scientific information about what is happening in education and what could or should happen in the field, and that they consider this information in their policy-making processes. And in doing so, the Education Reform Initiative prioritizes the well-being of children and other education stakeholders, aiming to contribute to more inclusive, effective, and responsive education policies. And the Education Reform Initiative has been working in civil society for and with education stakeholders since 2003. Now, as you said, I'm going to be presenting good practices in a conference that focuses on best or good practices, which is like kind of like Inception. I'll go ahead and start with the challenge that we are trying to address with our good practices initiative. So the challenge that we're focusing on is lack of professional development opportunities. So although various opportunities for professional learning and development are provided for teachers in Turkey, extant research highlights critical inadequacies. So these inadequacies are the fact that teachers have limited access to professional learning and development opportunities after they graduate from education faculties, that there's an unequal access to professional opportunities across regions, which creates geographical disparities. Also, there's an incomplete understanding of teachers' professional development needs. Also, Thales in 2008, the report suggested that there are several barriers to professional learning and development opportunities for teachers in Turkey, which includes a lack of time within the school schedule. It includes insufficient financial resources, lack of dissemination of professional learning and development opportunities, and access to high quality development programs. So these barriers underscore the need for targeted policy interventions to support equitable teacher development across the country. So what did we do about this as the Education Reform Initiative? We are working to enhance professional learning and development opportunities for teachers in Turkey through various platforms. And one of these platforms is the Good Practices in Education conferences that started in 2004. And in this presentation, I will try to explain to you what we define as a good practice, and what the significance is, and its potential for broader impact. So we define a good practice as one that enhances learning processes, that contributes to the well-being of children and other stakeholders in education, and that offers solutions to observed challenges within the education field. And in our approach, we never aim to select the best practice or the winner, or we never aim to give out awards. We do have criteria, and our criteria focuses on adhering to ethical principles, prioritizing participation. We focus on child and youth participation. We expect our applicants to explain how they included the participants that they're focusing on in their studies, in their projects. We want the good practice to be innovative. We want the good practice to be grounded in a logical framework. We want the good practice to have scientific foundations and have measurable and observable impact. And so we invite all interested stakeholders to submit examples of effective, creative, and collaborative practices addressing specific problems experienced in an educational setting. There is an independent volunteer peer committee composed of teachers, school leaders, civil society professionals, and academics that review and select the good practices from all the applications that we receive. And so since 2004, The conferences that we have organized have brought together educators, students, policymakers, and civil society members to showcase inspiring good practices and collaboratively develop innovative and effective solutions to educational challenges. So these people are, they could be teachers, they could be school leaders, they could be civil society professionals, they could be any actor who's interested in doing a project about a problem that they observed in education. So since 2004, 19 good practices in education conferences were organized. In addition to the main conference that we hold in Istanbul, 49 local conferences or workshops were conducted in 43 different cities across Turkey. Over the 20 years, last 20 years, we've received 13,000 applications, and more than 2,000 good practices were showcased at the conferences. And in total, we estimate reaching 25,000 people. And we were lucky to compile all of these 2,000 good practices on a digital platform. And so other teachers or educational stakeholders who are interested in finding a solution to a problem that they may also be experiencing, they're welcome to look at our digital platform. So a good practice, the Good Practice in Education Conference provides an inclusive platform where educators could present innovative and data-driven solutions to educational challenges. And I wanna, so I know that there are 2,000, as I said, good practices that are also on our digital platform. But I wanted to give you a glimpse of what those practices look like. And so I selected 4 of them, and I'm going to explain them to you briefly and then tell you why I think that they matter. So one of these good practices is titled The Crystal Face of Snowflakes, which is an initiative where students explored the unique crystal snow of Sarıkamış, which is a place in Turkey, through experiments, interviews, and photography. It aimed to deepen their understanding of the local environment and highlight Sarıkamış's scientific and cultural significance. And why this matters is it connects learning to the local context. The practice supports place-based education, encouraging students to engage with and appreciate their environment. So instead of focusing on, well, you kind of have to, because we have a centralized educational system. The curriculum is quite rigid. So, but this teacher, through this project, is focusing on place-based education, which is vital to connect with the content through more localized experiences. So this project enhances research and communication skills while fostering a sense of belonging and awareness of their region's environmental and cultural importance. Another good practice that I would like to share with you is the Eflatun student newspaper, which is a student-led newspaper with its editorial, IT, and advertising team entirely composed of students. It features only original student writings, excluding teacher contributions to maintain its student-centered approach. Economically independent, it sustains itself through advertisements and student donations. Why this matters is, well, the newspaper provides a platform for students to express themselves, fostering creativity, critical thinking, responsibility, while encouraging skills in writing, teamwork, and decision-making. Another example, good practice example that is also related to youth participation is School FM radio broadcasting, which is an initiative to foster positive attitudes toward the school by operating an FM radio station managed by students and a guidance counselor. It broadcasts to the community during school hours and other times. Why this matters is it develops students' communication and teamwork skills while strengthening community engagement. And last example that I will share with you today from our 2000 Good Practice pool is an international project by Uludağ University, which is a university in Turkey, and Georgia State University. They introduced the clinical supervision model to address challenges in teaching practice courses. For 2 years, the clinical supervision model was applied in Bursa, which is a city in Turkey, in primary schools, providing structured feedback to candidates. The conference will share practice examples of participant feedback. What they mean here, I think, is so they share their practices, their examples and their feedback across the model is what they mean here, I guess. Why this matters is the CSM enhances teacher preparation through consistent feedback, promoting reflective practice and improving candidate readiness for the profession. So the good practice approach, rather than a top-down model, with the good practice approach, Education Reform Initiative prioritizes participatory engagement. Teachers, school leaders, civil society professionals, and academics actively shape the selection of good practices. This inclusive approach ensures that selected practices were grounded in real classroom experiences and local educational realities, which fosters relevance and sustainability. So I listed several strategies for sustained engagement that we use in the good practices approach. By employing these strategies, we think that we maintain active involvement from educators and stakeholders. And these strategies include organizing local workshops and thematic events to facilitate continuous dialogue, curating an open access digital platform where educators can explore and adapt practices, establishing networks that foster peer learning and collaboration, and consulting teachers from the good practices community in other projects like our observatories, which is a team in our organization, education monitoring reports, ensuring policy recommendations reflect classroom realities, and emphasizing the power of collective learning and resilience building through shared experiences and collaborations across diverse educational settings. I prepared a slide about the role of the digital platform in the resilience building. So as I said, these 2,000 good practices are on the digital archive, and that acts as a dynamic learning resource that enables educators to access, adapt, and implement diverse practices. Of course, and also the educators have the option to communicate one another and collaborate with one another, which I think is a great opportunity. So the platform serves as a hub where educators can engage in dialogue, learn from past experiences, and critically evaluate approaches to enhance teaching practices. So some lessons for broader educational reforms. So this experience, the good practice approach experience, good practice in education conferences, the experience highlights key lessons for large-scale educational reforms. Collaborative and participatory processes enhance relevance and long-term engagement. Investing in platforms that promote peer learning sustains professional development. Continuous feedback mechanisms ensure initiatives remain adaptable and responsive to emerging needs. And the power of teacher-driven change is critical, with educators who are proactive, solution-oriented, and collaborative, contributing significantly to sustainable progress. I think that was it. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to hearing any comments or questions.
Thank you so much, Shema. And I'm particularly impressed by it because, of course, we're doing a similar job here in ELNE, right? And to hear that you mastered to bring the Turkish education system really at that level. You had 2,000 practices only in the platform and shared in the conferences, and that you reached about 25,000 people. I think that the objective that you mentioned there in the the application that was submitted to the calls really was that you were challenging the top-down approach in education, and I think that this gathering of you mentioned that you went from having, let's say, a committee of a few founders, let's say, from the initiative, to now having volunteers from all of these different stakeholder groups that make sure that the practices are rooted on real life problems and then grassroots level knowledge. So I just wanted to praise you on that, because I know on my side the work that takes, and I just wanted to ask you, there's a question in the chat, but I wanted to take the opportunity to ask you, what impact do you think that this community now in Turkey has or can have on policy making for education in Turkey?
Well, I like to, with questions like these, I remind myself of a theory called street level bureaucrats, right? That by coming, this is a theory by Lipsky that was, I think, written in the beginning of 90s, which suggests that by the people who are applying the rules, or not the policymakers, but the people who are adapting the policies or applying the policies within a classroom for a teacher, or for a police, it could be, applying the rules in their own setting. So that these people, by how they apply these policies, they change the policies. So with Turkey, with its sort of rigid political atmosphere, it's to be honest, it is difficult to enact policy change, and the policies change so often too. So I don't know if there's a lack of trust in that sense. So my focus is on the teachers who attend our conferences, who do this work, and by doing this work and by collaborating with other people who are like-minded, and who so these people in their classrooms, in their schools, they change the policies by adopting the policies to their own mindsets, if that makes any sense.
Perfect sense, for sure. And we have another question in the chat, which is how one can achieve observable impact, especially when the goal is towards children's well-being, and how can we measure impact in that case?
I think participatory action research, that methodology has a lot to offer in that sense. We can measure the impact by through a participatory approach, through collaborative leadership, which is one of the themes of this conference, right? So it will be a comparatively lengthy process, I think, to measure impact. So simply giving out questionnaires and collecting, analyzing data through document analyses and interviews may not suffice. So maybe a more involved, not maybe, certainly a more involved process would be needed to measure impact.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shema. And if there's any more questions for her, please drop them in the chat. I'm sure she will be happy to reply there. And last but not least, we move on to Finland. There's always a Finnish case to be shared on any topic that we discuss. And we have today the Institute of Education and Leadership with representatives Hannah-Kaisa and Thea, that will be talking about transforming universities into a collaborative learning community to provide continuing learning for educational leaders. So Hannah-Kaisa, Thea, please take the floor, and we'll be answering some questions after.
Thank you, and thank you, first of all, thank you Nuria, and thank you, Shema, for your very interesting and delighted presentations. We are going to continue with Tea about our practice that we have.
Yes. Yes, hello. My name is Tea Seppälä, and actually I work for the University of Tampere. And my title is Manager of Education, and I deal with teachers and school leaders in service training. And I am Hanna-Kaisa's colleague in this team, in this network.
Yes, because we have quite many universities now dealing with this. And my name is Hanna-Kaisa Pekkarinen, yes, and I'm the head of our institute now when Mika is retired. Mika Riskuve there in the chat, just participating now. And our institute is, yes, exactly there, working there in the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. And now let me check if I can move the slides here. First, I'm coming to tell you a little bit about this cooperation and this kind of network we are having just shortly. And then there is more talking about what have you learned and how to improve our system in the future as well. But as probably you know, that Finland is a large country, and in the map of Europe it goes from the southern part of Italy to the Denmark. So it's very large country, but not so many people living there. And when we first started to think about that we should have this kind of cooperation with the universities, we were talking about how this is actually the same issues that you had in Turkey, that it's needed to be a kind of ability to everyone to participate, and that is one kind of challenge that we were facing then. But also there was our National Agency of Education, which was then funding some in-training educational processes for the teachers in Finland. Unfortunately, now the state budget is so tight that they have decided to cut it out. And now we are facing this challenge that how we can support the teachers and the school leaders in the future when we are not having any kind of funding for that anymore. Yes, but anyhow, we are universities which are willing to have or think together about this doing that we are doing, and it really started very how can I say, there was just some few people that were meeting at the first place, just coming to say, hey, we are doing the same thing that you are doing, and maybe we should gather together, and this was really unofficial and very informal, and still is, even though we have been working now for 5 months. No, I mean 5 years or altogether, or something like that. And still, all the universities, as well, all the interested experts about the school leadership and about these education processes are very warmly welcomed to join the network. And how have we done it so far? We have some meets in Teams, once a month or something like that, where we are creating ideas and planning things together. And it's very important to have this kind of structure or in order to function and in order to operate. Now, on the 1st of April, we are going to start a new project, which is funded by ESF Plus. It's called CROWD, and the aim of this project is to actually kind of strengthen and also have some kind of expand for this cooperation, so that we get a good have some cooperation not only nationally but also between Nordic countries and internationally as well. And so we are warmly invited you all to join the network and cooperation there as well. And I already noticed that we are learning a lot from you and the experiences that you have had in Turkey and other countries. So thank you for giving us those tips and hints and advices. Universities in Finland, which you can see here, are all of them, but those who are there in this purple colored places are nowadays involving, and those other universities that which also has those places for the teacher education. So mainly this is the reason that those are involving now. Yes, and what have we done? So first of all, we have been implementing educational programs, and mainly online, because so everyone can participate, and Thea is going to tell something about what we have learned about those education processes that we have been doing. And we also have some kind of policy impacting in order to be able to do that as a larger group, so that it could be more effective then. But about those programs that we are having in practice, it's like the other process, or even the international practices that or programs that we are having. You're very familiar with this kind of process. That one of us is the one who's dealing with the governance and the responsible as a head of the group, but others are participating to the other parts of the process, about the planning and implementing the programs as well, and of course evaluation and everything that is needed for the programs to be successfully managed. And here you can see some of the examples that we have had already. Like you see, there's some education processes for early childhood education. Those were first DUFON one was very large one, so that the whole country of the Finland was involving there. But then also very important issues about the well-being and digital learning. And actually, this the last one, empowering leadership in early childhood and basic education, is dealing with shared leadership and pedagogical leadership. But there are many others, and all of them is dealing some kind with the school resilience. And because there also has some kind of programs about the safety issues of the schools, so maybe you can tell something about that as well.
Yes, among those important topics that Hanna-Kaisa presented previously, also the school safety has been a very central topic recently because of those very unfortunate and sad school violence incidents, school shootings, school stabbings, especially in the upper level of basic education and in vocational schools. So therefore, our principal school leaders have been very much interested how to enhance the culture of school safety. So therefore, in this network, we have organized since 2020, we have organized a program for school principals about this school safety. And here are some conclusions that what kind of impact this has had in regarding this school resilience. So especially in capacity building and leadership development, it has enhanced the leadership skills of school principals and administrators to promote community spirit. And especially this community spirit is the thing in school safety, so that everyone feels safe, everyone is integrated, everyone has friends, and if someone has problems, troubles, there is always someone to talk to. So the principals try to avoid the solitude of students, because that seems to be a one factor to violence. And it also has enhanced the teacher and student well-being, and it handles rapidly changing environment and different kind of crises. And this network, through this program, has also been able to promote research-based decision-making through leadership, this kind of leadership training. And it has been able to encourage the integration of resilience-building strategies in school management programs. And it has also enabled the innovations in digital knowledge leadership tools as itself, but also to find out in schools ostracism, bullying, and students that are at danger to be socially excluded and radicalized. And also it has had impact in policy in some way, impact in policy and systemic support. And this network has been able to support the development of national policies on educational leadership and resilience through the project reports and by meeting the decision makers of the Finnish National Agency of Education. And it has also been able to encourage universities to align teacher education and school leadership programs with national education resilience framework. Could you switch the, yeah.
Yeah, so some strategies that has helped us to ensure the participation and engagement while we are dealing anyhow nowadays a quite large group of people, and how also the tips how we started it. And I think that these lines that we picked up here is something that is very common in any kind of cooperation and collaboration that we are doing with different kind of levels as well. The first is to get together, because it's not able to have that kind of cooperation if we are not facing each other somehow. And something that we are willing to or even get better now during the starting process is to have that kind of structure for strategic and systematic meetings, and also to some kind of aims that we are willing to have. But very important is also this attitude that I have to admit that it's often very hard to understand that someone or some organization which is our we can think a kind of as a competitive partner, so that they are no longer our we are not completing or having any kind of competition there, but it's so much beneficial that we are having or working as a teams, not as a competitions. And it's very important as well that we are getting to know each other as friends and individuals, not just the colleagues or professionals that we are having. And this is something that is important for the spirit and atmosphere as well.
Okay, what have we learned? Well, I would say, first of all, this work has been really fun in this network. We have really learned a lot from various topics, various faculties, various kind of research projects, but also about each other. And I have to recommend that this kind of working is really fun and rewarding. But what have we learned is that we have learned to understand the importance of this cooperation, not to compete, but to cooperate. So that's actually the most important thing, because all universities have their own strengths and priorities, and together we can produce more higher quality and more versatile educational programs, which benefit the participants. They benefit us as a network, but those participants are our so-called clients. And we have also learned to share and learn from each other all the time, which are, for instance, best practices in forms of education implementation, good teaching methods, and important current themes. And Hanna also mentioned it, European Social Fund project. We have also learned how to administrate this kind of project as a lead partner and as a co-partner. And we have also learned to get information of the so-called silence signals or trends that seem to be on the rise in the field. And we have also learned that the network empowers and helps us to cope during every now and then. It's not always dancing on the roses, but we have also kind of challenging times, and this network empowers and helps us to cope. So there are these common challenges at work, and talking and sharing give us support and resources. Okay, thank you. So what are these strengths of online training for educational leaders? So here are some points. I guess there are far more experiences, but here are some. But first of all, I would mention the flexibility and accessibility. The leaders, they can complete training in their own pace, allowing them to balance professional responsibilities. And also, this online training removes geographic constraints. As you know, Finland is a huge country. Most of the country are lakes and forests in between the people. So this enables participation from remote and rural areas. And it has shown up to be cost effective. It eliminates travel, lodging, and venue cost associated with in-person training. And it is also some kind of green education. So we don't use that much traffic, so we can participate from our laptops. And the university programs in Finland mainly offer free tools and resources, which makes professional development more affordable. And also there are diverse learning resources. the online training platforms, they offer recorded lectures, live webinars, discussion forums, and interactive case studies. And if there are such cases that the leaders, they cannot participate in the webinar, they are going to be then what you call that, taking recorded, so they can listen to that recording then later when they are go jogging after work, for instance. And then there is this access to international experts like we have it today, and hence the best practices from education systems are being shared. And then there are some more about these strengths. Well, scalability. These programs can be deployed to a large number of participants at once, and schools and districts or national education departments can implement large-scale leadership education with quite minimal logistical challenges. And it also supports personalized learning. So the leaders can choose specific modules or areas to focus on and in which enhance the relevance. And also there are these networking opportunities, these virtual discussion boards and group projects, they facilitate collaboration with peers, and they also enable leaders to exchange ideas, strategies, and experiences across the country and different educational contexts. But then there are also these limitations. So what we have seen is this, lack of hands-on experience. This leadership training often requires real-world applications, such as handling difficult conversation with personnel or responding to crisis. And these online formats, such as group workrooms, they struggle to replicate to death or face-to-face conversations, such as role play in such challenging discussions with personnel or well-being exercises. As Hanna-Kaisa mentioned, we have had these well-being programs for school leaders. And then there are these engagement challenges. Without in-person accountability, some participants may struggle with motivation, and the virtual sessions can feel impersonal, which lead to lower participation and retention rates. And then there are these technology barriers. The technology requires a stable internet connection, which may be an issue in some regions in Finland. And not all leaders are very tech savvy, making navigation of online platforms challenging.
There are some more limitations there still, but because we are running out of time now, we want to have some time for discussion as well. So maybe we'll skip that to the most effective strategies, and then we'll stop.
Okay, so these are some most effective strategies that are worth mentioning is that, and how do we influence policy decisions? Well, first of all, this meticulous project reporting about the best practices and challenges, and then we communicate about the new recommendations, and then we meet every now and then with the representatives of the Finnish National Agency of Education and Ministries, and then our staff and colleagues, they also participate in various boards in ministries who inform the policymakers. So now, I guess now it would be time for questions and discussion.
Yes, thank you so much, Hanna-Kaisa and Thea. And I just wanted to praise you as well, also from the map that Hanna-Kaisa shared at the beginning, that we can see how universities in Finland have also seen the importance of this initiative, and you've managed to get already a lot of engagement, and it's exactly what you were saying before. It's fun, but it's also important, and you can see the impact that it's having. And I see that Mika has a question for you. It's in the chat. I'm sure he knows the answer, but this will be a great opportunity to share it with the wider audience here. And Mika and Shema were actually having a very interesting discussion in the chat. And so Mika is asking if you can answer Shema's question, which so they were comparing, I understand, the Finnish case with the one that Shema presented before. And Shema said the collaborative approach in Finland seems inspiring. In Turkey, such partnerships among universities especially regarding direct dialogue with practitioners and program design, are not as common. However, in recent years, there has been a growing awareness of the importance of shared efforts and exchanging good practices, particularly in the field of education and leadership. From your perspective, and I involve Nuria in this discussion as well, what steps could be taken to foster similar collaborations in Turkey? And then Mika also asked, where do you think that you will be now without the collaboration?
Well, if I'm starting with same as question, so I already answered that. What we think that was what was the reason that we started was so simply just ask. Just ask. This is the way to start. That you are willing to have some kind of discussion. That hey, should we meet because we are dealing with the same kind of issues and problems and targets as well. So get together. This is how to start. But what about the other question? What do you think there about this? What do you
So
think
the other
that
question was, where do you think that you will be now without this collaboration, particularly
without this kind of collaboration, as Finns are very silent people, we would be very in a solitude and misery, competing. And offering very one-sided programs without knowing about one another. But this way we are having a win-win situation for all. We share knowledge, but we also share money. That means that when we are collaborating together, we are more likely to get the biggest pot of that money, because the government appreciates this kind of cooperation at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have to admit that even though we are having, every one of us is having quite busy days and loads of work to do, but every time when we meet together, so there's a kind of place where we can share this situation where we're in, and afterwards we're very empowered after every meeting. So this is very important for work welfare as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And we've reached the time, but I wanted to finish this webinar with a sentence that Mika has put in the chat, our most active participant, and he said, transforming called organizations into warm communities with joint trust. And I think that exemplifies all three of the practices that we've heard about today. I know in the case of Finland and Turkey, I would say that both initiatives are very similar, but also in the case of Ideal Future, the work that they're doing specifically in these 4 countries, but now hopefully inspiring others to take a similar approach. I'm sure it will lead to many more inspiring initiatives and collaborative initiatives. So I would like to thank you all once again, first of all, for there's another message in the chat that I don't want to miss before. Yes, so that's my next point. I want to thank you all for participating in the calls for applications, for letting us hear about your practices, for coming here today, sharing with us. The webinar has been recorded. It will be edited and uploaded to the ELNE website for future dissemination in the upcoming months. And we will be having more webinars tomorrow and for the rest of the month as well. So you can check there in the chat the link to the ELNE website, see all the webinars that are taking place, and I invite you to join for as many as you'd like. So thank you again and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you. Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.